Good morning, everybody. This is Vincent Meza with Listings to Leads. I hope you're well. I see a bunch of people on the call here. Myrna, good to see you here. Bridget, yeah, awesome. So today, let's talk about top ways to get more listings. And so let me know. You're welcome to just put in your questions inside the comments panel. I see a lot of people coming from all over the country, and that's great. That's great. Happy to see everybody here. So let's get into listings to leads. So what are we doing here, right? What we are is a real estate advertising platform. We have a lot of content, a lot of tools, landing pages, sales funnels designed to help you market, right? You can get buyers, you can get listings, you can get free social media content out on your socials. There's a lot here to help you build your brand and to help you grow your business. But today's call is about, Deborah, hello. Today's call is about how are we going to get listings? And if you've spoken to me before, you probably have heard a lot of what I'm going to tell you today, but I think it takes a few times for it to sink in. So I'm going to just, before we kind of dive into the system, I want to list the things that you all need to be thinking about, especially when it comes to getting more listings. Okay, these are the top things, and I'm going to give you some more. But number one is our listing presentation. I'm holding in my hand a listing presentation. I'm going to show you the electronic version inside your account. So you actually have this in an electronic format, which we call Flipbook, or refer to as Flipbook, a print format, and then we even have a 5-minute commercial, a video format. And I want to stress that because we get a lot of feedback from our clients, and you've probably seen us talking about agents like John here, or Scott, or Fabrice, or Leo. And one of the things that they have in common is that they really appreciate, and many other agents do as well, they appreciate the effect that this listing presentation has on homeowners. Okay. And what I mean is, if you get this listing presentation in a homeowner's hands, they're going to want to talk to you. And we see this over and over every week in our mastermind group. We have somebody telling us, I knocked and this happened, I sent that over and that happened. But the one thing that I see some of these big, major, successful agents doing with our listing presentation is they're focused on getting a volume of these into their market every month. The gentleman at the top there, John Summers, last quarter, actually it's 2 quarters now, right? Jeez, time is flying. In Q4, the winter of 2025, he decided he was going to put 40 of these in his market every month. And if you think about, it's pretty good, because you've got to find a number of people who are thinking of selling to whittle that down to 40 homeowners every month who are willing to have a discussion to take this. And obviously after that, now they've got something in their hand that they can really think of and refer to and realize that you've got a very solid way of selling their home. We have another guy, Leo, up in Boston. If you see, and I'll point him out later, he puts 80 in his market every month. He's holding 2 to 4 listing appointments every week. And he closes a listing every week for 10 weeks. And his goal is to get that to 2 every week, right? Wouldn't that be awesome to close 10 listings in 1 year? And I think for a lot of agents, that answer would be, yeah, sure. But our clients who are really getting the most of this are realizing, like, hey, if I get that listing presentation into a homeowner's hand, there's going to be a conversation occurring, right? And I want you to remember that, because what we're going to talk about on this call is what are some of the best ways of getting homeowners to engage with you, right? So let's have a quick look at the listing presentation so that we can understand that. And if you've spoken to me, I'm sure I would have pointed this out to you, right? You each have your own, your color scheme, your logo, your headshot, and this is what we call our standard listing presentation, right? So as you go through it, it talks about what listings to leads does with every one of your listings, right? We do this automatically. We give you the ability to run paid ads on Facebook. We post it for free on social media. We create a virtual tour, put it on YouTube for you. We give you print marketing tools, a nearby homeowner letter, email. If you've been with us for a while, you know that we do this. But to present this to a homeowner, this is actually pretty different from what the average realtor is talking about. And that's why it's so compelling. Okay. So this isn't everybody's account as soon as you sign up, right? As soon as you put your headshot in there and your logo and your colors. But here, this looks almost identical, but it's very different. And this is actually even far more powerful. Now you can see that this is saying on the cover, this is how we're going to sell your expired home, right? We also have one over here for FSBOs. And FSBOs and expireds are great ways. Those are great avenues to pick up more listings. Now, I know you're spread out all over the country. I see Ryan here from Chicago, and I know a few of you are here from Florida. And to be honest, there's not the same volume of expireds in every market. But if they are an option for you, you should definitely look at what we're doing here, right? I'll talk a little bit about some highlights of what we're doing. But that's just something, if you're in the southern states, there's some other areas that really took off in the COVID era. They now have some inventory to work off, along with high interest rates. And that's really a big factor of what's creating expireds. I do want to say this about it before you get too concerned. Scott and I talk to a lot of agents, right? And a lot of agents, when they think of expireds, they think, oh, I got to call them on day one. And the day it expires, I got to call them. And that is just a horrible experience. I don't want to do that anymore, right? That's not what anybody is doing on our side. That's not what we're training our clients to do. And that's not what most agents who are definitely experienced with expireds are doing. They are waiting some amount of time, maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months. One of our clients waits 2 to 3 years. It's very funny. And I want to say this. I was speaking to an agent last week. And he said to me, hey, I've been taking the classes and I have developed an email that I send out of my CRM automatically when it expired hits. Okay. And I was like, okay, great. But I'm not getting anything. Like I'm nothing. I've been doing this for, I think he said like a year. And he said, I'm not getting anything. And I said, okay, let's talk. And he sent me the text that he was sending out from his system. And when I spoke to him, I said, do you call these people or are you just sending out a text? And he said, yeah, I just send out a text automatically. And I said, yeah, that's not going to work. And I want to point out, because everybody wants to build a machine that is automatic. It's automated. It's going to help you scale your business. And I totally agree with that. But I can also point out these 3 people here and the successful stories that we see in the mastermind group and the feedback from our clients. And they are reaching out directly to people. You can lean on your CRM or whatever to follow up after. But the initial contact, you either want to, like this gentleman, Scott Murray down here, you want to knock on the door, or you want to leave a voicemail like John Summers up here to say, hey, I saw you were trying to sell your home. I would just like to introduce myself. I am a realtor in the area. And this young lady here, she's 4 years out of high school. So she actually doesn't know any better. She calls day one with hundreds of other agents and nobody responds to her, right? No response. She leaves 2 voice messages. Nobody responds. She'll leave 1 text after that and says, hey, would you like to see my listing presentation? Still no response. And then she goes and creates a custom listing presentation like this, which takes about 2 minutes. And it's very easy. It's click a couple buttons and upload a photograph. The most time takes just generating it, which is part of the 2 minutes. She texts this custom listing presentation with the homeowner's name and address on the cover and their picture of their home on it. And as you go through it, they are seeing their home. She is calling and leaving 2 voice messages, texting and saying, hey, would you like to see this? And then lastly, texting it to him saying, if you're thinking of selling, please click this link and see it. Now that's different from what this other agent was doing last week. Okay. The other agent was just had a CRM set up. So when he sees a CRM expired, boom, click it and send it to that person. No calls, no nothing. And when I spoke to him, I said, look, there's just so many scams in the world. I'm not going to click on anything that I don't know who this is coming from. Right. And also his CRM at the end of his message, it says, hi, I'm Joe, the agent or whatever. And if you're thinking of selling, click here to see my listing presentation. So he's sending this, but he's sending the generic one. Okay. And with that, it underneath it, it says you can opt out. Right. And you've seen that. You've seen that hundreds of times, right? Feel free to opt out. Right. So that is signaling to somebody that you are just sending stuff out, right? There's no real touch there. And I said, I don't recommend that. I said, I really recommend that. So when I spoke to him last week, I said, I recommend that you call these people before you send that so that they know you and you warmed them up. And even if you call them a couple times and left a couple voice messages, then send it, you're going to have much better results. We got off the phone, I'd say about 2 p.m. last week. And by 5 o'clock, he texted me and he said, hey, I called somebody who expired 18 months ago, and I'm now going to meet them on a listing appointment. They're ready. They want to sell. And really what I'm trying to boil down, guys, is voicemails, phone calls, door knocking. And get the listing presentation in their hand. That's the simplest way to think about expireds, right? There's more to it. Wait 3 months. Where are you going to get the data, right? Where are you going to get the contact information? That's all part of it as well. Okay. When you get into your account, there is a place up here, this little bell, and you can actually get to this page. It's going to get you to our resources page, right? And our training calendar. And before we go any further, I want to make sure you're all taking advantage of these things here, right? Because we do live training 5 days a week, pretty much right now, 9 times a week. Okay. So you have every option to understand and learn what's going on in our platform. And that's why you're here today, right? We're talking live. So you can click on this button, reserve your spot down here, and now we'll get you to this page. Okay. And this page, you can see Scott already did an expired workshop this morning. He's going to do another one this afternoon. There's going to be a class tomorrow on just sold marketing. And let me tell you, that's one of the biggest ways of getting seller leads. I'm going to tell you the things that we're seeing, but there's you want to take advantage of marketing sold listing, because our tools are going to help you get seller leads, right? Whenever we're saying marketing anything that's sold, basically the message is something like this: that home is sold and that's going to affect your home value, and click here for your home value, right? And you start gathering contact information. You definitely want to do that, right? Then you have another expired. Here's something on new construction. And then I think we're moving on to next week. Now I'm going to talk about this one here. Okay. On Tuesday next week, Scott's doing a class on open houses. And those 3 things, sold marketing, expired, and open houses, those are the things you need to think about and get into your business if you want more listings. Okay. Now I can tell you that we can run an ad on Facebook, couple clicks, and get you seller lead. You can mail out a postcard and get a seller lead, right? But when you are working expireds and working open houses, you are meeting people. And if you know anything about capturing leads, you might know something about converting leads, right? And converting leads is where things just start to go sideways, right? And when you're shaking hands with somebody, you are much closer to conversion than if you captured a lead from Facebook or even Google or some random place on the internet. You've got to get them into a conversation and, be comfortable shaking your hand. That's when the real business begins. And so when we talk about, hey, I'm going to put it in my mindset to put listing presentations in my market because I want more listings, then the next question is, how do I get listing leads? Right. And if I haven't said it or made it clear, expireds can be awesome. Open houses are a great way to get killer listing leads, and sold marketing. Now, there's a lot of other tools to do that, but these three things that I'm describing are the most effective, right? So you can do a lot of other things, and I definitely recommend doing as much as you can, but these three things are the most effective. So let's go a little bit further. That was a live training page. I want to share this page. This is our YouTube channel, and I want to kind of go in here a little bit. And I recommend that you spend some time in here, right? Because we have so many examples. I would say every week we're getting feedback from agents saying, oh, I did this and I got a great result. I got a listing, or I got more buyers, right? But I'd say about once a month, or maybe every 6 weeks, we get some agent going, we are just cleaning up. We are just doing so much, right? Business. And it's phenomenal. And we're excited, and we're always excited to share that with you, right? But the reason why I'm talking about that is not because that's exciting for you to listen to how some other agent is doing great. It's so that you can learn from them, right? This guy here, Fabrice, as you can see from that cover, has closed 16 listings in 2 weeks. Okay. And he signed up in December of 2025 last year. And I spoke to him in January. We were talking about setting up a team account. And he's, what should we do? And I said, you got to do these three things, right? And he kind of took what I said and shaped it the way that he wanted to do it, right? Because we're not all exactly the same in our business. But in the 17 years that we've been doing this, I have not had ever heard anybody tell us we got 16 listings in 2 weeks. He was closing listings with our system before those 2 weeks, and he's still closing more listings. His system, it's pretty awesome. And the funny thing about it is, to advertise and get those listing leads, he was borrowing many of the listings that he was marketing. He lives in Miami, and it was his focus. He thought, you know what? I'm going to call agents who have luxury homes that look fantastic, and I'm going to ask them if I can market them, right? And I'm going to market them the way that I want to market them, and I'm going to get them. And he basically says the actual listing agent is not doing this work in his market. He's not leveraging his own listing to get more listings. I, Fabrice, am leveraging these other people's listings, and I'm picking up listings all around them because of their listings. That might be hard to follow. I will show you what I'm talking about in a moment. Okay. If we scroll down a little bit further, you will see that this guy up here, Leo up in Boston, he is doing three things. He's marketing sold properties, calling expireds, and working open houses. All three of those things are getting him seller leads. And Leo is the gentleman that is putting 80 listing presentations, 40 expired, and 40 just let's sell your home in his market every month. That's part of your pipeline, right? If you're thinking, I want to close 20 listings this year or 40 listings this year, you got to figure how many people do I got to find, because some percentage of those people, I'm going to get this listing presentation in their hand. And a high percentage of those people are going to turn into the actual listings, right? That's the sales funnel that we're talking about. Okay. And then lastly, if we go into the Mastermind group, this is a great resource for you. And you can get to all of these inside your resources page or the marketing calendar here. There's the Mastermind group. There's our Instagram channel, YouTube, and live classes. And you will see people talking in here. Here's Fabrice, the caller I was just mentioning. There's also a good question. And Myrna, this is you, right? From Connecticut. I saw this last week. And I'm going to answer the question for you because Myrna asks, and even this person doesn't know what's going on. So I think Myrna and I spoke a couple weeks ago. But a trash sheet is something that when people are approaching a homeowner, and they do it in different ways. And I think Scott Murray mentions it kind of clearly. Scott Murray door knocks. Yeah, the trash sheet. Yeah. He door knocks, right? And what he does, and what a lot of people have done, is they'll take our listing presentation and put it in an envelope, and they'll go get one page from the MLS because the home's already expired, right? And so they're looking at their house, and what people have said, and I think it might be Scott Murray there, right on that piece of paper, he writes, "I know why your house didn't sell." And then he circles a couple of things from the MLS printout, right? Maybe it was the photos, or maybe it was this or that. He's pointing it out to get to start the conversation with the homeowner, right? That's what a trash sheet is. And the reason why I'm just talking about that, it's related to expireds, but these are the kinds of questions and answers that come up in our mastermind group. So you should really be checking out our mastermind group for just a few minutes a week to see what other people are doing. And you're going to see a lot of great stuff, and you're going to learn more, right? So these are excellent resources, and we'll kind of come back to those. Let's get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts. Okay. So let's go to the listings page, because as I've said, we got to know about our listing presentation, right? We've got to know about sold marketing, open house marketing, and expireds. And now you know, Myrna, what's tonight about? What's that question there? So that's what I want everybody to know. You can access all of that right here on the listings page. Okay. And usually I have a listing, or I've got an open house, and my open house just passed. So I'm going to just save another open house. And I want to point this out for everybody. And often a lot of agents sign up on our system, and if we're lucky, we have a conversation, right? And I ask them, like, where are you? What's going on? Do you have listings? Do you need listings? Do you need buyers? What is it? And they give me an answer, right? And for those of you who don't have your own listings right now, I would tell you open houses is a great way to go. And I have to say this because a lot of you have been in the industry for years, and a lot of you don't hold open houses. You don't feel like it's any worth your time. And I want to really impress this upon you, that when you're holding open houses, listings to leads, you're going to get more business. You're going to get more listings. That's the goal. That's why a lot of our clients and a lot of our agents and a lot of our teams hold 2 to 4 listing appointments every week. And here's the thing. When we talk about capturing leads, and we talk about Facebook all the time, and you capture leads there, right? And capturing leads is awesome. We're really good at it. We make it very easy for you. But you are going to convert leads who you have shake their hand a lot faster than getting somebody from the internet into a conversation. I hope that's easy to understand for you. Okay. This is the nearby homeowner letter. While I was chatting, I saved an open house. I came to the market listing, and I printed one of these nearby homeowner letters. This is why, one of the biggest reasons why open houses create more listings, because our clients, agents like you, they print up 100 of these. It says, hey, I've got an open house, 1 to 4. And by the way, that's going to affect your home value. And you can go right here to get your free home value. And this page we create for you, and you can put a nice picture that looks like your market behind it. But that's the basics of why an open house really is a great way to get more listings. In 2025, it was the top way. Now, I want to say in Q3 of last year, we created the listing presentation. We put it back in Flipbook so that agents could electronically use it. And right around then, everybody started, the agents like you, started to understand more about expireds, and we were doing our expired calls. And I think for 2026, expired marketing might be maybe number one. Expired listings aren't happening everywhere, right? But they are happening wherever if they are happening in your market, you definitely want to put that in your business. Okay. But everybody can have open houses, right? So I want to point out that if you go to the listings page, and if, let's say that you actually have a town that you want to do, you want to build out, but you don't really have much business, right? I would highly recommend, and I know Scott would as well, that you borrow listings from other agents. There are a lot of offices where that's part of the culture, right? You go to listings, you go to add listing, and you can grab it. You just drop in the MLS ID and the zip code. You say it's not mine, so that we'll grab it, put the agent's name in there, and then you can market it just like everybody else, right? And I'm going to click market listing. And there are a couple of things I would do. I would say, first of all, do a Facebook ad because that's going to tell about 1,000 to 2,000 people that you've got an open house coming up this weekend, right? But then I would print the nearby homeowner letter, and that's how you're going to invite the neighbors, right? So over here, I'm going to say Sunday, 1 to 4. That's all. That's really all you got to do for an open house ad. Boom. That's going to get buyer leads, right? If you change it to $50, you're probably going to be seen by 2,000 people. Okay. So in the same column, that's where the nearby homeowner letter is, right? So if you print this and you give it to the neighbors, say, hey, I've got an open house this weekend. If you're interested, please come by, right? Love to chat with you. Then at the open house, we have other tools. You should have some of our listing presentations because you've taken the time to invite homeowners in. We have 80 PDF guides for you. Each one of the PDF guides has a flyer like this. They can download it for free, but more importantly, you're branded on it. So if you've invited people into this open house, they are going to recognize that you are the realtor, right? And that's great for you. And there's even another cool tool. I mentioned it earlier, but we actually have our listing presentation in a video format, which is actually sitting up on YouTube right now. Many of our clients, agents like you, come to this page and they look at these two. I think it's this one here. You want the long version. It's a 5-minute commercial. So you should practice this at home. If you're going to do open houses, you absolutely want this running on a smart TV. And if your smart TV has a YouTube app, you can just go to YouTube and type in the name of this, and you can play it, right? And when you're at an open house, you can play it on their TV as well. And what this describes is how we help you market your homes. It does not mention listings to leads anywhere, right? But if you have invited 100 neighbors into your home, I'm pretty sure you're not going to have 100 people, 100 of those people come in, right? But you're going to have two types of people walk through that open house. People who are thinking of buying the house or people who are thinking of selling theirs. And now you've got some really good looking content. You've got flyers that you can put around the house. You've got a listing presentation on the counter. You got another listing presentation running on, I don't know, an 80-inch TV, right? It could be on your laptop as well or on your iPad. But this listing presentation, I cannot stress it enough. It creates like hour-long conversations with homeowners. That's really what you want, right? That's what you're after. You want to talk seriously about how to help people sell their home. Open houses are great, right? It's a great way to do that. And if we go back here to listings, we can talk about what about sold? Remember, I mentioned the guy from Boston who markets sold listings. What is he doing? He changes the status to sold. You notice I have one here that's sold. And he clicks on market listing and he does two things. He runs ads on Facebook. If I click Facebook here, this little thing writes the ad for me. We actually have Facebook's ad software built in and it's all done. Another home is sold in Auburn. That affects your home value. Click here for your home value. That's it. Real simple. If you sold it quickly, and that happens if it's priced right, sold in 4 days. If you got multiple offers, let them know right up on the top lines, right? And sold maybe above asking, right? Something like that. That's all you really need to do, okay? If we go back to our website, I can tell you, not everybody knows how to do this, right? Just to make those statements, right? And not everybody does do that, and they still get high quality listing leads. I want to explain this to you. Scott does a class on Facebook advertising, and you may not know this, But when you run an ad with us, we are using a part of Facebook that has first, it presents them with questions, and you have different questions here. If you want to change them, we've made those available for you. And then once they answer the questions, this form pops up, their full name, email, and phone number. But Facebook fills that in automatically. This is why our clients really appreciate our Facebook software, because getting a name, email, and phone number from the internet it's not that easy. It's not impossible, but nobody wants to put their phone number there. So then they'd rather give you Mickey Mouse at Disney.com, right? But here, when they click on it, their information's already sitting in that form. So this is highly accurate information. It's the information from their profile. Then they can click here and go get their home value, right? That's how that works. And that's what Leo over there is doing. He's running those, and he's also mailing out postcards. So if you've mailed out postcards in the past, maybe it didn't do a whole lot, right? Most print in real estate advertising has no call to actions other than call me when you'd like some answers, right? When you need some help. This sold postcard, we're looking at the front up here. There's a link driving to the website that's going to capture a seller lead. There's a QR code that drives to a website that captures a seller lead. And if the person flips the card over, it's going to say your home's value is affected, and go to that website and get your home value. So even our print is designed to get you more listings, right? And that's what Leo, this is like a recent story. Like he says, hey, I do open houses, I work expireds, and I market my sold listings. And then I work all those leads. And I will stress, this gentleman is putting 80 physical listing presentations in his market every month. He is working his leads. Okay. And I know for a lot of people, that's not something they really want to be doing. But when you're closing a lot of listings, you do have a process that you're following up, right? So I do have to stress that. It's funny. I saw somebody responded to one of our emails and wanted to sign up. And then she's, oh, I thought you were just going to give me leads. We don't sell leads here, guys. We have a lot of ways of helping you get high quality seller leads. And that's what we're talking about today, right? I will stress though, especially when it comes to lead quality, Facebook leads are not all the highest quality, right? However, our clients definitely convert some of their leads, right? If we go back to our homepage here, you will see Brian Matheson. Brian owns an LPT office, and he runs a lot of ads, right? And he was so excited. He made this training video for his agents. And basically, we got 114 buyer leads from this home, right? And it's in Conroe, Texas. And he said, and that's great because we put 4 of those 114 into homes. We helped 4 people buy homes. Because, but then when we sold it, we flipped it to sold, and we run this ad, and we get one $4 lead. And that turns into an appointment where he wants to sell a $400,000 home and buy another one for $450,000 from one lead that cost him $4. Brian is not going to tell you every lead is doing that kind of volume, but it is worth your while to be running ads on homes that are just listed, open houses, and just sold. You'll get buyer leads on the early stage. You'll get seller leads on the later stage, right? Sold advertising, it's fairly simple. There are more things to do. And as I mentioned, Scott's going to be doing a class on them, right? So let me ask, are there any questions about what we've discussed? Because I've talked about open house marketing. I've talked about sold marketing. I've talked a little bit about expireds. Are there any questions with what I've been describing? Are you okay? Do you understand what's going on there? And go ahead and put them in. I'm going to keep going here. And I want to talk about the list, the nearby homeowner letter. Okay, I have a home that's sold here. And I've talked about the nearby homeowner letter when it comes to open houses. A lot of our clients will download this and they'll mail out 100 when they have something just listed. And then they'll mail out another 100 when the property is sold. Okay. That's like a long-term thing that many of our clients have been doing for many years. And that's something that you should definitely think about doing, right? And to give you a reason why, let's talk about this guy. You Oh, Beth, oh, you wanna talk about FSBOs? For sure. Don't let me forget. I'm gonna just talk a little bit about this right here, and then we can talk about FSBOs, okay? Dustin Fox was part of an office that I launched years ago. Again, if you need a team account or a brokerage account, reach out to me, Vincent Listings Leads. When I sold that office, it was probably 10 years ago, and they had 300 agents, okay? And Dustin was a newer agent. He was an agent for about 2 years. And so since he was newer, he kind of spent some time and got in our system. And we learned about him because he came in the mastermind group and said, "Hey, I printed out 100 nearby homeowner letters, actually 250. I put them inside of an envelope. I mailed them first class. Put a little calendar of me and my wife, and he went to Canva and grabbed some of his reviews from Zillow and put it in there and mailed it to 250 homes first class." Okay. And he says, "I got 10 listings with the average commission of $17,000 each." That's in Maryland. He spent $600 to mail all this, right? And if you follow us and you're in the mastermind group, you will hear year after year, this is a serious tool here. And I want to mention it because when you're mailing something, especially a letter where they have to open it and read it and understand it and walk to their computer and go to that website and type that in and get their home value, that is a high quality lead. That is a much higher quality lead than the Facebook leads, right? However, the Facebook leads, they're fast and cheaper. So you want to kind of do both, especially advertising, because every time you run it out on Facebook, at least 1,000 people are going to see it. And that's awesome for your brand. Okay. So the nearby homeowner letter is great. And I want to talk a little bit more about that because this story that I told you here with Dustin, that's from 2000. At that point, he was only in the industry for 2 years. And he was a manager, I think, at Office Depot before that. And after that, fast forward to 6 years later, he has a team of 24 agents and he's written his own book on advertising. You can go find that on Amazon. Yes, one of the chapters of that book is on listings to leads. And it's great. We actually have picked up clients because they're finding it on Amazon and going, "Oh, you guys are in that book." But the point is, we've done a good amount of calls with Dustin, and he has learned that if he markets his listings, each listing with our platform, he gets 2.2 more listings. Okay. He gets more listings from them. And that's because he's using the nearby homeowner letter and he's using our Facebook ad software and he's holding open houses on every listing. It's a real deal. And so I don't, you know, as you're hearing what we're talking about here, you might want to use one tool. This is all I want to do, right? But in the combination, when you do all these things, you start building a volume of good, high quality seller leads. And if you want a good listing business, that's exactly what you need, right? So Beth mentioned FSBOs. Let's talk about FSBOs. So there's a couple of things that reminds me of something, but let's just go to landing pages because there's a really cool tool here that says, let's go look at it. I've got one down here. I think it says FSBO right here for Orlando, right? And the thing about FSBOs is you don't probably want to call them on day one, right? I'm sure many agents are, but you want to reach out to them. And basically, a FSBO, they don't really want to work with a realtor. We understand that, right? But once they get into that process of actually trying to sell their home, they give it up. They give it to a realtor. I think the average is within 2 months, they give it to a realtor. So if you are the realtor who is developing a relationship and talking with them, that listing could very well go to you. So as you see here, I have a landing page for a FSBO in Orlando, right? You can create these for any city or you can create them for a state, right? I've created many like selling your Florida home on your own, right? So the point of all this is that you get this landing page and you're offering free tools. Hey, would you like social media marketing? Would you like a virtual tour? Whatever you want, sure. Click that button and now give me all your information. Now you have their contact information. If I type in my contact info, the next page is going to say, great, can you give us a photograph of your home, right? Because you want some marketing stuff. Now, from that point, you can then, of course, reach out and say, hey, do you have more photos or whatever? But what happens is that listing, that information from that form gets dropped onto the listing page as a FSBO draft. Okay, so let's look at this. We'll see in a second. And the tools that they requested are sent to them from you in an email. Okay. And all the tools are underneath marketing tools. So you can text them out if you want to. You can say, hey, I want to make sure you got that virtual tour you wanted, right? The whole point of that is to start introducing yourself to that homeowner, right? You can call them, you can, however you want to approach them, you can do that. But I want to point out that all these tools are created and also the listing presentation that I was talking about earlier is waiting for them. I would not send this to them the day that they fill out that landing page. I would give them the tools they want. I would help them with any questions they might have and just let them know that you're here. And then maybe, I don't know, 4 weeks, 8 weeks later, you can say, hey, by the way, I'm a real estate agent here in the area and click on this link here and see how I would sell your home. And at that point, they're probably tired of dealing with buyers and all that. And they're going to say, yeah, please come by. That's how we would approach it. I think some of you have experience with FSBOs and some of you have experience with expireds as well. So if you do have that experience, you want to basically look at our tools to make sure that you have things that are going to just help increase your business. So here's my Orlando page. Underneath it, it says marketing tools. And Beth, for you, you might want to think that about this, right? You can create the page. I'll show you how to create the page in a moment. But when you click marketing tools, this is how you get it in front of people. Okay. And of course, you could run an ad on Facebook. Okay. I would actually really recommend running ads on Google. It still takes 2 clicks. It's very easy. But when you do that, when you're on Facebook, the reason that Facebook works so well is that adults in the United States, they spend like 40 minutes a day there, right? They're just looking at what their friends are doing and at the pages that they follow and their grandkids and stuff like that, right? And it is compelling for them to be on their phone. They could be standing in line at Starbucks. They could be driving their car, or they could be in an office and you might be looking at Facebook on your phone while I'm talking here, right? The issue there, though, is that they went to Facebook just to look at all the fun stuff on Facebook. And your message, your ad showed up right on the center of the screen like this photo is here, right? So they're like, oh, yeah, I am in an open house. Oh, I do want my home value. Oh, I do want this or that, right? But they didn't come to this page with a question. They came to look at cats, right? When they have a question, this is the number 1 page where all questions are asked on the internet. And FSBOs are going to have some questions. Those people are going to probably do some research before they pull the trigger. And your answer can be available for them, right? It can show up on a Google search. That's the whole point of running an ad for Google, because it's written, it gives them some bullet points and they can go, yeah, I want that, right? And then boom, they land on that page and boom, there you go. That's how it works, right? So Google is great, but I also think just having some print tools like a postcard and maybe even a door hanger. A lot of you may know that FSBOs, you might call them, and a lot of agents are experienced in that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I recommend that because you're getting direct to the person, right? But I would recommend calling them and mailing them a postcard and possibly hanging a door hanger so that they do not miss you and they know that you are there to help them. There are not a large amount of FSBOs, right? I don't think that's not the bulk of all listings. So printing up some postcards and door hangers and having them handy could definitely be helpful, right? Google, well, now you're hitting the internet and that's the number one website. And so that's pretty helpful. I'm going to go back to landing pages and share just one more concept. One more thing I think you all want to think of. So when you're advertising this, you're going to notice we create a lot of tools for you. There's a lot. And you will also notice that we are often putting, would you like your home value? Even on an open house, even on a flyer or on a single property website or on an open house, we're always going to say that affects your home value. Would you like your home value? So, and that's because we are basically applying what you all know, right? And you know that oftentimes when you're marketing a home that's for sale, you're going to get a buyer lead that actually owns a home. And they might actually just be doing research to see, oh, what's this home about? What's this cost? And that's worth noting, right? And so that's why we embed this form right here. When you come to your account on landing pages, you're going to see free home values. I highly recommend that you click the pencil here and you make sure the graph looks like your market. A lot of you live in, I don't know, you know that there's just different looks from Arizona to Florida to Maine to Portland. It all looks different. And that picture may not look like your market. Click this button over here in background and make sure it kind of looks a little bit like your market. So Deborah's got a question here. Glad to see you on the call. All mailing happens outside the platform. That's not exactly true. That's not exactly true. You can do that. Let's go over to the nearby homeowner letter, right? Or let's go look at the postcards that we were talking about. Because these guys, we've got an integrated printer. And if you're doing postcards, let's look at our sold property. We were talking about that earlier. Want to mark it sold. There is a company here. If I go to the postcards, so we try to tee it up and just make it easier for you, right? And we have a printer named Express Copy. And I actually have an account with them. So I connected it. And right here, I've got a print and mail button. So Deborah's question was, does all mailing happen outside of the platform? And I think the answer is no. You can actually do it right here. We have a partner printer right here. And so if I click on print and mail, because I have an account with Express Copy, I can click get mailing list. And Express Copy has a national database of every homeowner. Okay. Cool. You've got that? Cool. Yeah. So you can say, hey, you know what? Express Copy, mail this in a 2-mile radius or whatever you decide on. And Express Copy, you download it and you mail it, right? They only mail to people that own a home for more than 6 years. I highly recommend this. You don't have to use Express Copy, but you should get yourself a list of homeowners, right? And you know that they've owned a home for at least 5 years, right? Something like that, 5 or 6 years. Express Copy, it's automatic. But I will tell you, let's go look back at the Mastermind group and let's talk about this guy here. Because you might not all have Express Copy, and you're welcome to sign up. And there's a link right there on the page. But other clients do it differently. And I just want to share that with you. There's just one guy here, Chris Winstead. And Chris is another agent who came into the Mastermind group and said, hey, I'm getting all kinds of listings from mailing out the nearby homeowner letter. So let's go see what he's talking about. So the backstory on Chris Winstead is in that first summer of COVID, he moved to San Antonio, Texas. He's married with kids. And his wife's family is from San Antonio. And they're like, let's go somewhere where the kids can be with their family. And he came in the Mastermind group and said, hey, I've got 5 listings in 3 months in a city where he just moved to. Okay. So nobody knew who he was. He joined a Keller Williams office there. And Keller Williams is pretty good about sharing listings. If there's a listing in the office, you can market it, right? So what did Chris do? He went over to this company here. You may have heard of it, Remind.com. And he bought a list of homeowners in San Antonio that owned a home for more than 5 years. And then what he did is he started borrowing listings from his agents in his neighborhood, because he bought this house in this one neighborhood. He's like, this is a good neighborhood. I want to own this, right? He moves to town. What am I going to do? He buys a list from Remind. And right here, he tells you every 2 weeks, he sends this list to people who have owned for more than 5 years. And once they once they fill out the form, he hits them every week with phone calls, letters via mail, and letters left at the door. That's a very simple formula right there, right? I'm going to send that to everybody on this call. He was borrowing listings, getting the nearby homeowner letter on the borrowed listings, and mailing it out to people that own homes. He didn't use express copy. I don't know how he did it. Okay. And I want to make sure that you guys understand that, because you remember that story I was mentioning, Dustin Fox, a few minutes ago? And I said he went from rookie to an agent with 24 agents, a team with 24 agents. Chris, like I said, moved to San Antonio. He keeps making his videos. He becomes a top listing agent and just takes off and starts his own office. And the very first thing he does is he creates a YouTube channel for recruiting to say, join me. Let me show you how to customize listings to leads so that you can get more business. Another example of just clients year after year growing with us. And they're kind of doing the same things over and over. And that's why I'm discussing those elements of listings to leads with you. Okay. It takes a little bit of time to get this under your wing, right? But if you can remember anything, this listing presentation is creating serious conversations. The story I just shared with you with Chris Winstead, we barely had this. I don't even remember if we had this in Flipbook at the time, right? I can tell you for one thing, we were not making this print version here available. We get this through Mailbox Power, right? And by the way, let me send you something there about that. So hopefully you're understanding, yeah, there are lots of ways to get seller leads. And I can tell you, I talk to a lot of clients who they're already paying for a list of expired. It's already showing up in their email. They realize, wow, your tools are going to help me close that. I think I'm working with a woman in Southern California, in Santa Clarita, right? She has a database of 3,000 expireds. Can't close any of them. Just hasn't been able to do it. And so we talk, and I'm like, hey, you got to get certain tools. Here's your setup. Here's what you want to be thinking about. What I'm showing you, what I've just sent to everybody right now, is where you order the print versions that I'm holding here in my hand. I think everybody wants an expired one if expireds are happening in your market, and you want a standard version, right? I will say this, we make them for FSBOs and canceled, stuff like that. You may not need those, right? But I will say this, I'm going to take us back to the Mastermind group. And a lady, her name is Christina. I can't remember her last name. I thought, Christina, you're not on the call here today, are you? Because I thought I saw your name earlier. Give me a moment. So she created the custom listing presentation, okay? And she printed it at home. And I don't know if she sent it to like Kinko's or she had her own printing binder. In the Mastermind group, you can ask the agents, like, what are you using to bind these? This question comes up every couple months. And the agents share, like, oh, get this from Amazon. It's $50, kind of stuff like that. I'm almost there, almost there. But this lady just 2 weeks ago came in and said, look, I printed it, I bound it, and I knocked on their door. I went straight to their home and I knocked on the door, and we had a great conversation. And they said, we're not going to sell right now, but we're going to sell soon. We would love to talk to you. And so she was going to leave them her business card. And instead they said, hey, could we have your booklet? Could we have the booklet of our home built in? And I'm hoping I come across it, but there's just so much content going on here. And that's really, I want to stress that it's this woman here, Christine Sardinia. Here's her post on June 3rd, right? And she's telling you, she created a custom booklet and doorknob. It was bound, right? It had so it looked like a nice quality. And it's so compelling to homeowners that the homeowner at the door said, "Can I have that?" And she's, of course. Now she knows she's got something that person really wants, and it's really engaging them. This listing presentation is incredibly powerful. You need to think about, how am I going to get that in volume into my market? It could be sold postcards. It could be FSBOs. It could be sending out nearby homeowner letters. Let me say something one more time. It's going to bring us back, and then I'll go. Remember when I mentioned Fabrice here? And Fabrice has 16 listings in 2 weeks in Miami. He built that by borrowing luxury listings and then taking the nearby homeowner letter and mailing it around the listing the first 2 blocks in the first week. Okay. He gets the listing. He mails this out to all the homeowners in the first week, in the first couple blocks. The second week, in the next few blocks beyond that. And then the third week, another listings in 2 weeks, leveraging other people's really good looking listings and this piece of paper. I would definitely be considering that, right? Borrowing listings to hold open houses, borrowing listings to show that you are involved with homes that are selling in the market, and then following it up with listing presentations. Don't forget about sold marketing, whether it's postcards or ads. We've got a lot of landing pages. We've got a lot of PDF guides, multiple ways of marketing each of those. And 40 of those seller PDF guides are designed to get listings. What I've spent time discussing with you today are the most powerful ways of getting listings. The things that we see time and time again that are getting our clients more listings. I hope you were tracking here. This call is being recorded. This call will be on our YouTube channel, hopefully later today. Okay. Are there any other questions before I say goodbye? And first of all, thank you for being here. Like I said, this will be on if you're still here, and please, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I also want to ask you this. We would just like to make sure that we're helping you out here. We spend a lot of time. You're welcome, Deborah. This is a survey. If you have a minute, I think there's 5 or 6 questions. If you would just answer those, let us know if this is helping you, or maybe there's something that you feel like it would help if there was something else that you added to it. You're welcome, Jen. Please invest some time to understand our platform here, because we have so many agents and whose business is just growing like tremendously. And I can assure you, they have taken some time to understand what they have available to them. And I hope this helps your business grow. Scott and I are here to help all of you. And we also have a really great support team. It's right down here on the left. Feel free to ask them questions. They're really fast. They're very responsive. You're welcome, Bridget. You're welcome, Beth. I hope this helped all of you. We'll talk soon. If you need a team account, I'm Vince at Listings to Leads. My contact info is on the website. Feel free. It's discounted month to month, just like our agent accounts. And enjoy the summer, everybody. Talk to you soon.